I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello everyone, welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, no lies told. Today I'm joined by Miss Kim Nguyen. She is a mental health advocate, storyteller, and proud survivor of both bipolar mania and a 13-year marriage to a covert narcissist. She uses her story, which is equal parts heartbreaking and hilarious, to help break stigma, spark conversations, and remind people that they are not alone. So, Kim, thank you so much for wanting to sit down. I can't wait to hear this um story, and it's been really impactful. So, thank you for taking time out of your day to sit down with me.
Yeah, thank you for providing a safe space.
So, if you could just kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Sure. I'm Kim Nguyen. I'm 45 years old. I currently reside in Raleigh, North Carolina. My day job is I'm a software implementation specialist, and then on the side, I do guest speak and advocate for mental health. Instead of saying illness, I call it mental health opportunities to to destigmatize. Like, hey, an illness does not mean something is quote unquote wrong with you. It does not mean quote unquote you are broken. It just means that you are just a unique human being, just like we all are. Additionally, I'm a author in progress. I'm writing my memoir. It's spiritual AF and bipolar as hell. And what makes it different and unique is that I thank gosh for cell phones. I recorded my entire journey, which lasted a year and a half when I wasn't on medication to control my bipolar. So when I say that for a year and a half, I I took pictures of just my behaviors, what I was doing. I took a lot of videos, and my memory from that time is very fragmented. So it's taken me a good, I would 9 months for me to now revisit my experience because there's a lot of shame, guilt, embarrassment, the way I behave, the way I act in front of strangers, in front of my own friends. So I'll take a pause there.
So
Hey.
you kind of have had a little bit of a very hectic life. Tell me a little bit more about your bipolar diagnosis and what were you kind of um knowledgeable about what bipolar was when you got diagnosed with it?
Yeah, I would say I touched the surface on what the symptoms were, and how it made it people be and how it could change people's behavior. So it was just only in January. I had therapists and doctors prior to this January. It was January when someone had said, Kim, I think like I am sure you're bipolar. So I've been on Seroquel, and since then I've been chemically balanced. So when my bipolar symptoms were rampant, my mania made me hear and see things nobody else did. So I was very isolated. So I literally thought I had a best friend that lived on Mars. His name is Nikola Tesla. He was like my lover, my best friend. my muse, my guide. Um, and I self-isolated simply because I just get nervous going out, but also in my mind, I had this best friend with me already. So I am fortunate that um, my hallucinations and what I saw, I'm fortunate that it didn't make me do something negative that would impact, friends or family. Like, for example, harm other people. I just lived in my own world. And additionally, him and I created our own language. So when I went out, he spoke to me through license plates, through menus, through dollar amounts on receipts. Um, so I'll pause there. And additionally, also in that window of time, because my best friend, whenever he didn't reach out to me, I would just get really upset. I would start crying, like, "Hey, why aren't you talking to me?" And I did try to take my own life, thinking that if I did that, I would be able to see my lover, my partner that lived on Mars. Um, and then I'll pause there.
How did your marriage kind of contribute to your mental health struggles?
It compounded existing trauma that I already had. So, distinctly, I do have complex PTSD. Um, because I was very much emotionally and psychologically abused for such a great length of time. My doctors let me know that it triggered my bipolar symptoms, so that my bipolar systems were like at the top of the scale. So what had happened was my mind took over my body to keep it from surviving because I had so much trauma to unpack and I was very emotionally dysregulated. Um, my panic attacks were through the roof. And additionally, because I was isolated in my marriage, when I left, I didn't have a support group. And that's really, really key. A support group that listens to you, that does not judge you, and that understands what you're going through. I had a lot of girlfriends, for example, they were afraid to have me around their kids because I tried to commit suicide. It didn't work. So I did not have a safe space. So what the doctor said with all this compounded trauma, it triggered a lot of my bipolar symptoms where um, I just was constantly talking just to myself. Um, and again, for like a year, I talked to my best friend also. And I took him everywhere with me. It's now I can look at pictures and sort of laugh at them. But I would carry around some of his books that became my Bible, and then also like his picture. I put his picture in my backpack. I would take him to dinner. We would wine and dine together, and we were, in my mind, he was real. We were having conversations. So I know that was like a long answer. But as a result of my marriage, my frontal lobe, literally, like people who have been gaslighted for so long, their frontal lobe shrinks. And that's where new memories are made. And that's when, it helps just, it's a very important cognitive piece that helps you get through the day. And it was, um, so on top of chemically imbalanced, my brain now has had to it has to repair itself. Positive affirmations, rewiring your brain. I basically became an extension of my husband. So before I did anything, my therapist said, Kim, ask yourself, is this what Kim would do? So I started to slowly rewire my brain and build my self-esteem through therapy, and also just immersing myself in every self-help book that I could on how to survive and heal from a abusive marriage.
Can you, when you're having one of your manic episodes, can you explain kind of what leads up to these manic episodes, or is it very much kind of they can really attack you really quick?
Um, Mine attacks me really quick. So current day, if I wasn't on my medication, I asked myself, would I know or recognize when I'm hitting a manic episode? And I say yes. Back when it was happening, um, like I could wake up in the morning and then all of a sudden 10 o'clock, I'm like, oh, you know what? Nikola Tesla wants to talk to me. I'm going to get on the computer or listen to music. So it was a very quick onset. And when I uh and with bipolar, my highs are really high, my lows are low. So meaning I brought up the example that when I couldn't talk to my best friend in my mind anymore, when we weren't communicating, I was very depressed. I cried for days. I didn't leave my bed. Um, uh, and I did try to, take my own life thinking, okay, he's the only person that knows my story and that knows my narrative. I was going through a lot of group therapy at that time as well. And something in me just it makes my brain not function properly. So here, like for example, I have no filter. I'll go out, I'll meet, if I hear something that I don't like from like another individual, I like went up to them and like voiced my opinion, but that's not Kim today. That was Kim thinking like, the in my mind, these people don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. Let me jump in. So behaviorally, I did a lot of things that did not make sense. So for example, I had major insomnia. So I would just dance from like 12 to 3 thinking, I had all this energy. So that's another example of an of a good of a good manic high for me. So instead of like I don't know, some people gamble. I danced a lot. I also gave away a lot of my money, which is kind of it's actually a common thing that bipolar people, when they're going through their mania, we spend a lot of money because we don't know what the hell we're doing, or like I thought I was being led by the universe. So I gave a lot of my money away to people that needed it. And then at the same time, that gives me a chemical high. So my serotonin and all the happy chemicals, giving and pleasing others made me feel happy. So that was an avenue that I used to make myself feel happy.
Has the medicine been kind of a godsend to you, or do you still have to this day kind of bipolar attack or manic attacks, or if you do, are they a lot lower and a little less severe?
That's a great question. I do. Yes, Seroquel is a godsend. I mean, I clock like 8 hours. I don't ever have to wake up. I used to be on Ambien all the time. Additionally, my suicidal ideations, I don't have them anymore. I would want to just, I had a lot of suicidal ideations when I wasn't on Seroquel. And just thinking of all the ideas that, Lola, that I could use to kill myself. So I do get depressed, I do get anxious, but I now apply cognitive behavioral tools to help address it. Like him, what is the reality? What is the worst case scenario? When in the past I would have just spiraled out of control because one, I couldn't, I wasn't able to identify solutions for the problem, and my brain wasn't functioning where I could think logically and take a step back. I just was an emotional mess. Um, so it has done a lot for me behaviorally. Absolutely.
That's kind of how I've been with my anxiety medicine. Before I had anxiety, wasn't put on this medication, I was just lost and had all these really bad panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And the medicine I was actually able to get on was, like you said, a godsend. It was a huge game changer. I don't really have any severe anxiety attacks anymore. It it just feels like a whole like a you feel like a whole new person.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a whole new person.
And thanks for being vulnerable with me and sharing that. So I still have anxiety medication. What how I explained my so I've since made new friends, have a support group, have a tribe, and how I explained to them is for a year and a good year and a half, I felt like I was on ecstasy, like I was riding this high, but it was all fake. And so now this January, I've now come down and I look back at all the pictures and all the healing that I've done. And I have to just give myself some grace and compassion that I have come a long way, and that, healing's not a destination, and it's a journey. But it's like when I wasn't on the medication, I was just riding this hallucinogenic high. It was crazy.
Have you reached out to your old friends that were with you when you were not on the medication yet? And have you tried to maybe rekindle, or have they reached out to you on how you are doing now?
I have not reached out to them. I think about it. I still am kind of embarrassed. I reached out to one. I would say, well, my ex-husband isolated me, so I wasn't left with many friends anyway. Um, but I was in a space where I just needed someone to like give me support 24/7. And my friends weren't capable of that. They have families, they have children, nor do they understand what bipolar does, what exactly happened in my marriage, what they did not they just thought my ex-husband was manipulative, controlling. No, it's the legitimate term of gaslighting, of of creating self-doubt in me. And that happened for a good 13 years. So I was 29, and I come from I'm a second generation Vietnamese born here in America. I was raised by two very emotionally immature parents. I did not know what boundaries were. I thought abuse was love. So at 29, when I met my husband, I thought the give and take kind of love, the transactional love, I thought that was unconditional love, but it's not.
Has writing the memoir been a therapeutic process for you of trying to get a lot of your old um, past struggles out on paper and be able to really kind of look back and see how far you've come? Has it been real therapeutic to be able to get all these emotions that you've had built up out?
I'd say right now because I'm in my infancy. It's not therapeutic, but what makes me keep going is boy, the sooner um, the sooner I can talk about my experience, I know that it can definitely help other people. For example, you're not alone kind of thing, because I felt very alone during just what I was going through. So it is therapeutic in some sense, but it's still very raw and very vulnerable and just very like, oh shit, I can't believe I behaved like that kind of thing. Because there are thousands of pictures, and um, I catch myself just scrolling through them because I'm just looking month by month. I just got more, more manic. Um, and the crazy thing is too, is I dated someone during my mania, and I now question his taste in women because I was crazy when we dated. So great question. I think it is therapeutic for me. Because I'm my worst critic. And also with writing the memoir and sharing my story, I had a hard time, kind of figuring out where to start. There is no right or wrong way to start, so I just picked some pictures and just started, just writing about what the pictures showed me.
What's kind of the overall message that you would like listeners to really take away when hearing this story? And what's just kind of the main, when get the chance to read the memoir and they read your story, what's one key takeaway that you would like for them to learn from?
That they are not alone, that there are people we exist all over the place. Um, Getting help is also key. And when I say help, support network, but either a therapist or a doctor that can prescribe the correct medication and diagnose you. Be honest. So when I say that, for a year and a half, I did have a therapist, I had a psychologist. I did not share with them that I heard and saw things that no one else did because I thought they would commit me or whatever. No, like if you have the if you find the right doctor, they will take care of you, and then you know, um, to address bipolar, it is a chemical imbalance. It's not. Maybe it is something that is curable on its own, but that's not how it works for me. And in addition to that, I think many of us, bipolar or not, even just, like a quote unquote chemically balanced human beings, we do a lot of things that we either regret, feel bad about, or embarrassed. And I want to show them, like, look, I I know what embarrassment is like. I know what guilt feels like. Look at my behavior. Look at the things that I did when I was going through my manic episodes. I built this wall for my best friend. I ate dinner with him, and um, I did have highs and lows And if you get the right support and if you're honest with yourself, you can get on the other side of things. Um, and that's what's key is to feel better, to feel well, and to integrate yourself back into society, to be sociable, to have a support group because as human beings, we need to interact with one another.
What advice would you give to someone that's living with bipolar disorder or is recovering from past trauma?
Be easy on yourself. Meaning there's no right or wrong way to heal. Healing is not linear. Healing is just all over the map. And additionally, on days that you struggle to get out of bed or are depressed, give yourself the grace and compassion to feel your feelings, to lay in bed. I don't know the rule, meaning, hey, if you're depressed, lay in bed. I would say maybe like 15 days if it impacts your job, impacts your relationships with your family. Um, Try your best to, you know, put one foot in front of the other and get the help that you need and the support that you need. Um, and when I say like support group, non-judgmental. So, to tell my story, I have told my story to people that have just looked at me like, hey, she's never getting better, that they don't believe in medicine, nor do they understand that mental health opportunities, it scars us on the inside. We have broken bones and bruises. You just can't see them.
Do you have an idea of when your memoir is coming out so that people, if they're listening to this, we can get a good idea of when they can expect it to be released?
That's a great question. So I'm kind of doing it in pieces. I don't have a published date, but so as I begin to do podcasts and ramp up my social media to market, not to market, my memoir, I desire to hear those that are interested, like how I should format the book. What stories do they want to hear? If I do a TikTok or something where I go through all my pictures, which pictures should I highlight? What story do they want to hear based on my videos and pictures? So I'm just kind of noodling right now on, how I can start getting pieces out there. And I think I'll do it in iterations, with the first part perhaps like at the end of this month.
Well, if people would like to follow you on social media so where they can have updates about the book when it's coming out, feel free to drop them and let them. And if people that are listening would like to maybe connect with you, whether they have questions about bipolar, or they need some advice on stuff, where can they best find you?
Yeah, it's my social media account is at spiritual AF Kim. And additional like that's basically all my YouTube, my TikTok, and my Instagram. Um, and I guess if I could partner with you to get my information out there, you can kind of guide me how if for those who are listening and to follow you, how I can get my information on your side.
Yes, what I always do is, and as I do with all my guests, I'll put off her links in the description box. I will put her Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter down there as well, so that it's easy access for you guys to find it, so that it's all in one place. Feel free to follow me on social media as well. Instagram, TikTok at Lethal Venom Podcast, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It's Noah's Podcast for those platforms. And then feel free to listen to Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm available on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. So I'm basically available anywhere. So feel free to follow it so that you'll get notified of when new episodes drop. Thank you to everyone for listening in today. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and I'll see you on the next episode of Lethal Venom.
Be safe, everybody. Thank you so much.